Al Jazeera is a Qatari state-owned media company that spreads news and content throughout the world. AJ Plus is a subsidiary of Al Jazeera that was launched in 2014 that focuses on online news, pop culture, and current events. They have millions of followers across the globe, including many young Muslims. I remember when I first came across AJ Plus on social media, they were putting out videos covering the 2014 bombing of Gaza by Israel. I remember thinking to myself, Alhamdulillah, now we have media coverage that is not biased by Zionist propaganda. But my happiness was very short-lived, unfortunately, because immediately after launching, AJ Plus started putting out content that was not only un-Islamic, in many cases, it was actually anti-Islam. Just consider the sheer amount of AJ Plus videos dedicated to glorifying drugs and even alcohol. Or how about the dozens of AJ Plus videos dedicated to abortion and terminating pregnancies as a sacred right? But drugs, alcohol, and abortion are only the tip of the iceberg with AJ Plus. When you go to AJ Plus's social media channels, you are bombarded by so much content dedicated to homosexuality and transgender issues. They have been promoting LGBT since 2015, at least a year before gay marriage even became legalized in the United States. So they were way ahead of the curve. What makes this more noteworthy is that they also promote LGBT normalization in the Muslim world. If there is anything related to LGBT in the Muslim world, AJ Plus is quick to glorify it and celebrate it with coverage in multiple languages: English, Arabic, French, and Spanish. Beyond LGBT, many of AJ Plus's videos promote prostitution, or what they call sex work. Obviously, we know that prostitution has nothing to do with Islam and nothing to do with the beautiful culture and heritage of Qatar and Qatari people. So why is Qatar's government facilitating these pro-prostitution ideas throughout the world through AJ Plus? Are these the images that they want people to associate with Qatar? What makes AJ Plus especially problematic is their criticism of Muslim countries that apply the hudud. Hudud are a part of Islam and they're a part of the Sharia. And Muslims will always be proud of the hudud, no matter how much Western feminists, liberals, and secularists want to shame us for our religion. Is Qatar's government not aware that they are funding a media outlet that is adding fuel to the fire of anti-Islam, anti-Muslim hatred? The most subversive aspect of AJ Plus's content is what we can call Muslim women breaking stereotypes. Values of haya and true hijab are stereotypical according to AJ Plus. So they want to present Muslim women who break the stereotypes by blatantly violating haya and blatantly violating true hijab. How many young Muslim girls are watching these videos and are wanting to follow in the footsteps of these Muslim women? Again, it must be asked, does Qatar's government condone this type of programming? Does Qatar's government want women in Qatar to emulate this kind of behavior? When we look at the social media channels of the people running AJ Plus, it becomes very clear that they have an ideological axe to grind. These are pro-LGBT, pro-secular, pro-liberal, pro-feminist activists who want to change the Muslim world and change Muslim consciousness to make it aligned with these kinds of Western secularist identity politics. What's so ironic is that young Muslims in the West are actually influenced by this kind of content from AJ Plus. We usually think that it's Western media that threatens the iman of our youth, but in this case, it's Qatari-funded media that's doing that job. Just imagine, rather than Western governments funding media that's indoctrinating Muslims around the world, you have Muslim governments that are creating media that's indoctrinating Muslims in the West. Now I can see AJ Plus trying to defend itself by saying that it's just covering the news. And the news often involves LGBT, drugs, abortion, prostitution, and so forth. But this excuse doesn't fly for two reasons. First, AJ Plus is not merely covering these things, it's actively celebrating them. And secondly, AJ Plus is often ahead of the curve in celebrating things that are on the fringe of Western culture. They were promoting gay marriage way before it was legalized, even in the United States. They're promoting drugs when drugs are still banned in many parts of the United States. They promote sex work when in reality sex work is banned in the United States and many other countries of the world. They're pushing LGBT in countries that have laws against this type of behavior. So this is not just news coverage. This is promotion, this is propaganda, this is cultural engineering. My ultimate message here is that I know that the people of Qatar do not support any of these things. But why is the Qatari government spending millions of dollars supporting this kind of stuff? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Al Jazeera should exclusively focus on Islamic lectures or da'wah. I understand that they are focused on news, but at the very least, can they not promote things that go against Islam and that violate basic Islamic ethics?